It's about damn time, Matt.
It's not even working yet, so I figured let's just get started and then we'll see if my
You guys hear me okay?
yeah.
Awesome.
Somebody with a worse mic than me.
All
Yes.
right. Well, look at us. All
Look at we're
together.
doing this. Matt Honcho, introduce yourself.
Yes. Okay, so some of you may know me as Matt Honcho. I am a moderator in Gravy's stream. I will be what I like to call producing the video and the audio at the fight and announcing the fight and all the undercards if we have them. So yeah, that's me.
What about Mustard?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I will also be back, thankfully, for the fight. I do feel pretty bad, honestly, that Gravy's scheduling it based around me being there at all, because the tooth.
No, but I think that's a good
infection.
reason. Hold me accountable, bro. So I
Yeah,
thank you for that.
You have been being kind of a bitch about the tooth pain, but no, but seriously, I'm super excited to be there. I know how much it means. I was lucky enough to train at the gym for a morning with Gravy and one of my buddies. So I kind of got to see where everything's happening. And I can just imagine kind of what some of those sessions are like. So
Now, is this the same Mustard that sat in for me at goals that game?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes,
Went mano a mano at one point.
To be fair, you kicked ass. It was an upgrade, to be honest.
No, it was that game. The other team didn't show up, so I think we did like a 6v6.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So at one point, I came barreling down on you. I came out of net, and I think you stonewalled me. But
Hey,
it was a good time. That was a lot of fun.
How big is he then, Mustard?
And I'm saying this as a guy who has recently just lost about 75 pounds as well. Had a little gut. Like
I was 260 then.
Had a little bit of a gut for sure, but a smile on his face. But yeah, so it's been cool. I've seen some of the just shots of you at the gym and whatnot, dude. You're looking super healthy, looking happy. So love to see that.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, got to get in shape for the fight.
Yeah, he's got his priorities straight.
It's funny because because when I go running, I run a little bit more, and when I spar a little bit more because I got a fight coming up.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
That's fantastic.
Have you been, obviously, you're enjoying that feeling then? Obviously having a fight coming up, and like obviously it's a lighthearted thing. It's not, as intense, but yeah, you're training, you're back in action. Is that something you've been enjoying?
Oh, 1,000%. No, I definitely, and you can't not. It's just in your head. I mean, like I said, when I spar harder. Now and when I run farther. I got something to work for, and I know I'm looking forward to it.
Do you ever have moments where you just where it really hits you that it's going to be happening soon?
Oh yeah, definitely.
For me, music brings that out of me. On the car ride home today from the dentist, there was just a couple good songs in a row, and I'm like I was my brain was getting to that, like, I'm gonna try and whack this dude up. Like that's where I was. Like, well, I'm like, for some reason it's music. Certain songs, it just puts me where it's like, holy shit, I'm gonna be in a real fight soon. Yeah,
I just like fighting. I have not since I was a kid. I'd say 16, 17 when I first started boxing, and that I just look forward to it. And it's the funniest thing because I'm not the guy. I don't see red. I don't get angry. I don't get worked up. It's a lot more. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's a lot more like for people that like roller coasters, that you get excited about the roller coaster. You're aligned for the roller coaster, and people are like, are you scared? And you're not scared. You're just looking forward to riding on the roller coaster. You got some anxiety, you got some whatever, but you're pumped, and you can't wait for you're just watching the line and knowing your turn is coming, and that's the way it feels.
Has it always been like that? Like even for like your first fight, or like when you were like training with your buddies at 17?
Yes. Yeah. It once I get, well, I shouldn't say because when I was until 16, 17, until I started boxing, I would say that I was legit afraid to fight. That and realize more than anything where you just don't want to be embarrassed. You know that it's less worried about being hurt than being embarrassed. You don't want people to see you get beat up. And then once I started boxing, then it was like, actually this is kind of fun and I don't mind getting hit. And then once you're there, and it's like, shit, I've been afraid of this whole time, and that now. I mean, I get legit happy before. I mean, and even like, and it's been a long time, and I probably shouldn't say this, but even like bar fights where I just get excited, and people just start smiling and just have like, what are you so happy about? I think it's about time. That I remember one time in particular where I just grinned, and the guy's like, don't you know it's about to get real? And I'm like, why do you think I'm grinning, dude? You don't even need to work for it.
He said, I'm already ready to go, man. I'm here for the sport of it.
100%. Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, you could stop being a dick. We could just go outside right now.
No more words need to be exchanged, man. Like, if you want it, let's get it. Yeah, I love that.
100%. Yeah.
Well, man. I mean, that is the sport of it, right? It's not about knocking someone's top off. It's about getting in there and just like kind of testing your steel and see where you're at. And I feel like Gravy's been there too. He's like, I'm not going in thinking I'm gonna knock out my dad. He's like, that's not what's gonna happen. But I'm looking to see what I'm made of, and I feel like that's kind of where you're coming from as well.
Yeah. And you know what's one of my favorite parts about it has been on the ride home the other day where you were talking about how not like where you feel like you have a limit, and then combat sports will show you that your limit's probably farther than it is. And that's been like 100%. One of my favorite part about it, where it's like you think you're done and somebody looks over and says, you want one more round? And you're like, fuck it. And then even before it's happening, I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to go do another round right now. But then you do it and you're like, hell yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. 1,000%. Yeah, that's the thing with combat sports. It'll push you past where you're not only past your comfort zone, but where when you're first starting, you're thinking, yeah, this is where my wall is and whatever, and then you find out, shit, that wasn't my wall. That was just the beginning. That was just a speed bump was all it was.
And how much of that would you also is kind of the people that you're training with, and like you almost don't want to let them down, or you're like, you kind of want to prove yourself, and say, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, we'll just do one more, and just having those kind of training partners to push you in the right way.
I think so. Totally.
It's interesting, and you got different kind of dudes that show up. We got a pretty good chemistry at the gym we're at, but really for the most part that you can't go somewhere and spar open mats regularly unless you have a certain energy and a certain confidence and a certain that the guys that show up that are just looking to work something out, they don't come back. There's guys that you can just see. Sometimes they'll walk in and you don't come that often. It's like, yeah, this dude's here to work something out, and maybe that guy, you humble him a little bit or put it on him or whatever. But
absolutely.
But other than that, yeah, for sure. That and you have the team thing, and there's something to be said if they're that when you get another guy and you can sense that he's willing to go a little bit harder and you're willing to go a little bit harder, that you have to have a trust and respect for each other to do that. Because you don't want to, if somebody's shying away from that first solid shot, that you don't want to follow it up. You don't want to be that guy. But for the guy that when you do that and then he gives you that grin and then you give him that grin and it's like, oh brother, it's on.
Yeah. Totally.
That's awesome. Do you guys have specific guys at the gym right now that you
I think we both have our favorite partners, right? That's just
for sure. Yeah, you like people that give you that a little bit of anxiety. Want that are going to make you. You don't want to be too comfortable, but I tell you what you really don't like, and what I shouldn't say you don't like. It's just a lot different if it's somebody that you're a lot better than, or they're a lot better than you. If I can't give the other guy any kind of decent work, then I feel bad. Then somebody's just big brother in you and whatever. And that's no fun.
I can tell you one of my favorite parts has been as I'm progressing, where people are giving it to me more. Because then it's like hell yeah, this dude I used to feel like, damn it, he is babying me. Like this isn't fun for anybody. And then now where it's like, oh damn, he's actually like he's beating my ass now. But I feel like that's a sign of respect. Or it's weird. It's so weird how it's
I'll tell you 1,000%. That back in the day when I was training, there was a guy around here who was a national champion, Troy Hollywood Hughes, and I love that guy, and I was spar with him all the time. And one day he just fucking put it on me bad, and I can still taste one front kick that just split my guard, and where the ball of his foot was just right on my lips, where I mean it just a real hard front kick right on my face. And afterwards I'm like, are we cool, Troy? Did I do or say something? And he said no. He says, you just took the next step. He says, that's the way I got to fight you now to keep you off me. So I went from thinking I was getting my ass kicked to all that I was just floating. I was just floating the rest of the week. I'm like, yeah, I made Troy work.
I'm that guy. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And it was different every time I sparred him after that, because then I went into it feeling like a different fighter too from there on out, and it was different rounds that we did after that day. I mean, he was still a lot better than me, but he had to work. He couldn't just mail it in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually can. Yeah.
Like, how was the scene back then versus like what it is now? Like what back when you were getting started versus
like training, especially.
Training.
There's so many more people fighting now that and there's so many more opportunities that we used to have people that would drive, I mean, 5 or 6 hours just to spar with us. And especially that I know, like for me and Gravy, where we're just boxing, but keep in mind that when I was fighting, it was the early 90s. The UFC hadn't even started yet. So then when people wanted to go no rules, like after UFC in .94, after the first one, that you had to drive hours and hours and get the internet was young then, but you'd get on the message boards like sharedog.net or whatever, and just looking for people to spar with. And we'd have people come from Indiana and northern Michigan, people come from Iowa, from Kansas, that regardless, that because and it's not that we don't appreciate it now, but you appreciated your sparring partners so much, Ted, because and the thing that was awesome is that you'd have people, and it wasn't even an ego thing or anything. It's like that place that they trained at, there wasn't no rules, and so they didn't come to front or to whatever, that they just wanted to see. It's like, shit, I've been doing Taekwondo, I've been doing karate, I've been doing wrestling, whatever, my whole life. How would this happen? What's going to happen if I fight somebody no rules? So yeah, that was the golden age. That was good times.
Oh man.
No rules as in like mixed martial arts?
Yeah, and that's you talk about the difference. The biggest difference because now nothing against the younger crew, but they just take like the unified rules for granted. That back in the day, there was no unified rules. That you'd show up for a fight and you'd think you knew kind of what the rules were, and then they'd have like a rules meeting before the fights, and so you've got my trainer, or if I'm the coach, and the other fighters, depending on whether I'm the coach or the fighter, that we're meeting and we're hashing through like we're negotiating some great big international agreement, and too dumb to realize that it didn't make any difference because the ref wasn't in on the conversation, and the ref was going to call whatever the fuck he was going to call, and nobody knew that you can negotiate anything that you wanted, whether it's okay, no hair, like I had longer hair, to say, okay, let's not do hair pulls, or let's not do whatever, that didn't make any difference. Okay, there's no kneeing on the ground, or you can knee on the ground, you could kick out, didn't make any difference, and it was going to be whatever that ref called was going to be, But yeah, it was a different time that you didn't know when you showed up, and like I say, and you didn't really know until the fight started what the actual rules were going to be. And the worst of the worst, and where you'd start to get some anxiety, is that you'd have refs that didn't have any experience. And so I remember one fight in particular where I was the next guy up. The guys fighting before me, the guy got choked out, and the refs yelling for him to tap, but the guy was out. he was out, and the ref's like, "You got to tap, dude. You got to tap," and everybody's screaming, "He's out! The guy is out!" And the guy had a real naked choke, couldn't see his face.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how long it was on, but it felt like eternity that he had that. Then finally, the guy just let it go, and the guy rolled, just laying there on his face.
Yeah, just limp.
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
Holy.
I mean, looking back, it was hilarious. It was kind of terrifying at the time.
Yeah.
Thinking he's gonna be, because that dude's gonna be reffing my fight.
Yeah, your life is on the line. So were these fights part of those like message boards and stuff like that? Like this fight that you're like in particular that you're talking about? Because I was thinking you meant more like just for sparring, setting up sparring with guys.
It could be both. It could be either. It's hard to. I can't even put into words how much Wild West it was. That you'd go to a show, and every show there'd be the rumor that the cops were going to come and shut it down.
Because it's essentially just a fight club. It's kind of
because there wasn't a sanctioning body. So you'd kind of have something worked out, or you'd have an arena worked out, or whatever. And if you were going to have anybody there, then the fear was that. And sometimes there was one time in particular that the cops showed, and so then we assumed that they were going to shut it down, and the guy said, "No kicking the guy when he's down," and it's like,
nice.
Really? That of all the things. So okay, officer friendly. So that's his take on this. That I don't know where or how he came up with that, but
that's a deadly weapon, right? If you kick someone on the ground, I think it's assault with a deadly weapon. That's probably he's probably like, as long as there's no felonies, as long as it's just like just keep it clean, dude.
It was wild. Yeah, it was a different time for sure.
That's wild. That's so awesome. What was the what first got you into like mixed martial arts, and then like what was your first like martial art that you learned? Was it like karate or taekwondo?
I started out on karate, but the karate wasn't real. That we thought it was, but it wasn't. And everybody they were point fighters, they were whatever. That legit tough guys would much rather fight a karate guy than anybody else, because the karate guy's going to think he could fight and he couldn't, and he'd do point fighting, he'd do whatever. So I started with that, and then probably, I guess it would have been 16 that I started boxing at the boys club. And so now you're hitting and being hit, and it's like, oh, you know what? This is fighting. Now I know how to fight. And but then you had, like I say, the time there wasn't it. That was 10 years before the UFC, almost 10 years before the UFC. So then you still don't really know what you can do and what you can't do. But I knew that I liked boxing, and then so I started boxing. Realized that I didn't mind getting hit, and then that was fun. So then I really threw myself into boxing and the kickboxing, and then when the UFC, so 94, when the UFC first started, then for a lot of us that just reignited our passion for it, because then you have all of a sudden you've got, well, now I can find out for real what I can do, and you don't need to worry about going to jail or whatever. And there were a lot of us that we just like to fight. That it wasn't the kind of thing that, especially I'd see in boxing, where there'd be people there that for their matches they just had to have an edge. Where a little bit like Jordan or Kobe, where they had to hate you. But there was some of that, and I never had that. But it was always interesting to see those guys that. Because for me, and I remember my first boxing coach, he'd be like, "Why are you smiling all the fucking time? Don't smile at everybody." And then the first couple times he saw me where I'd get cracked, and I'd just say, "Oh, nice shot, dude." And then the coach is like, "You know what? That worked. Do that." Because I've had times where, and Gravy will tell you where a guy. He'll land that shot, and you can almost see his soul leaving his body when he realizes that was the shot I was hoping to land my whole life. And then there it is, and the guy just gave me a nod and said, "Hey, good shot."
Yeah. You just literally the hardest I've ever hit anybody was I hit you with the right hand, set your mouthpiece flying. You're like, "Oh, nice one!" Like, "Oh, motherfucker!"
I
couldn't hit you harder. I literally couldn't hit you harder than that. Like, God damn it. But yeah, it is a weird feeling.
Would you say you have a stronger jaw or a stronger punch?
Oh, stronger jaw for sure. That was one of the things that disappointed me as I trained more and trained more. And really, one of the reasons that I got into jits was so training, starting out at a small gym, working with your buddies, and really feeling like you hit hard, and then you start going with guys that are pro fighters. And there was a guy, Mean Mike Labrie was a world champ, and he was in the area, and I couldn't get his attention. I mean, I could run across the ring and hit him as hard as I could, and he could have his eyes closed, and I'd barely get his attention. But yeah, for sure taking a shot is definitely by far my strength.
But to be fair, you said Gus says you hit harder now than you used to.
Yeah.
So
and I've been pleasantly surprised. Yeah, that since getting back into it and training, I don't know why, but I legit feel like I hit harder now than I did then, and I don't know why. There's not many people that when I what's that?
You think it's
the dad strength?
I was thinking it when he said it. It's just a real thing, man. It's just a real thing. You get older and you become your muscles are denser, your muscles are wiser. They just
all the time.
Yeah.
To be fair, you're the biggest dude in the gym by a significant margin. So maybe.
No, not by weight.
What would you?
Who's bigger than you?
There's several guys, just like Chris, who was there on Sunday. I think he's 220. There's at 200. There's several guys.
Chris is 220.
I think my buddy Adam. I mean, he's probably.
He doesn't spar very much though.
Yeah, fair.
I like Adam. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is. I was just holding the bags for him. He almost popped my shoulder out. Granted, I have a bad shoulder, and I'm probably not holding it the best. But I felt bad, dude. He was just kind of giving me a training session for sure. So I could definitely understand if you were like, if that wasn't my first time and I wasn't there, like kind of accepting the training, and I felt like I was trying to get a work in with him. Like he got no workout. He got no work. The most workout he got was jumping rope with me for sure. So what do you do for warm-ups? I know Gravy, at least when I was there, he said he's not a fan of the jump rope.
He doesn't even warm up, man. Every time we get there, he throws his shit on and he paces around and he just looks for somebody to fight. That's his warm up.
Yeah, what's funny is where I've never been much of a warm up guy, but as much as anything, because when I was first starting, I didn't have a lot of cardio, and that so I wouldn't want to waste it in the warm up.
That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling.
Know
too.
yourself. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, there was a guy that used to call me up. He was Bryce Frank. He was a Thai fighter, and he'd call me up even when I'd stop fighting, but he'd just need somebody his size for sparring. And I'd show up and he'd say, let's do a 3-mile run first. And I'd say we could spar or we could do a run, because there ain't going to be both. It's going to be one or the other.
But you're running these days, right? Or you were?
Conditioning wise, I don't know that I've ever been in this kind of condition. I can run for days.
Yeah. What's your schedule? How often are you running? How much? I feel like I've seen like some 10-mile runs. Like, is that standard, or are you like pushing it?
It depends. I can I like to do 7 or 8 miles on the weekend, and then what I'll do during the week, once or twice a week, I'll do like a 5K of just hitting hills. We've got a lot of hills in my neighborhood, so I mean cardio wise, this is not a good time for Gravy to want to fight me, for sure.
He's the first one getting rounds, and he's the last one to stop. So that's where he's at. I'm thinking
1,000%.
Yeah, there's a lot of young, athletic, fit kids at this gym, and I don't know if any of them have the cardio that you have. Maybe Tony does.
Oh, for sure, Tony does.
Yeah, that's fair.
What's your
Tony.
5K time?
What's your 5K time?
Under 30, but not a lot under 30. I'm not super fast. At 54, I definitely, if maybe like a 9-minute mile pace is when I'm really pushing it. But and then if I want to run a lot of distance, then it's more. But I tell you what I like doing when I run though is that when I leave the house, I don't know how long the run's going to be. That I just kind of let my feet and let my legs decide. Yeah, that I've got like different routes that I run, and I'll be coming up, and I can be like, well, if I go left,
I got a little bit more
3 miles. If I go right, it's going to be 8 miles or 10 miles. Yeah, so that's.
There really is something about running, man. It sounds so weird, especially for me now. I haven't run in so long, but I used to like wake up and run before school. I used to run, and that's the thing is like you said, it's when you push you push your limits, and like Gravy was saying as well, you find those limits, like, you're like, oh, I can barely make it, and then you make it, and you're like, well, I could probably go another lap, or I could go, this little bit, or I can push it a little bit further. And I think there's something about that, just that accomplishment, and kind of digging deeper and finding out something about yourself. So,
man,
that's cool.
Sometimes,
you'll love it one day.
Yeah, and sometimes just getting lost in the run. That I like to. If I'm going to be running at night, then all day I'll be thinking about what playlist that I want to rock when I'm running, and then looking forward to that, and then going out and just kind of shutting your brain off and letting the music go.
I think that's the thing too. Just doing something where you can where that's all that matters right then. I think that's so important.
And I was just having that conversation the other day, because there's nothing like fighting for me in terms of doing that. Everybody's got their own, who they are and the way their brain works. That my brain is just always busy. There's always a conversation going on. It's never quiet. And the first time I fought was the first time. Well, okay, other than smoking weed, but that was a long time ago. But other than that, it's the first time that there was quiet, and I was like, "What is this? This is that." There's so many things going on in my head all the time, where you're thinking about this, thinking about that, and whatever, and then all of a sudden, then you get in there and you're just throwing with somebody, and my mind was just clear. There's just nothing there, and that was awesome. And then a half dozen times where I was fighting and got in the flow state, and then where it's like you're in the fucking Matrix, man, where it's like, I know what you're going to throw before you even throw it. And I'm sure that's how people get addicted to heroin, because that's one of those where if it would work for me, I would be whatever.
Yeah, man, that sounds incredible. I can't. Yeah,
I envy that. I envy that, because it's not always like that for me. It totally depends who I'm in there with. A lot of times, or like if I'm with somebody who I feel real comfortable with, then it's brain empty and I'm feeling so good. Or if I had like a good morning. But sometimes I'm totally in my head while I'm sparring, especially when somebody's really getting the better of me. Sometimes I'm really like, what is going on here? But
you've had to been there when you're gaming before. You've had to been there gaming before,
absolutely.
Though, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely been there gaming.
And I think that's the that's the really cool thing too, is you get to do that for your job right now, and so you get to kind of be in that flow state, and without even so it's cool to step back and kind of like analyze it from that point of view of like from boxing. Like you reach your flow states in different capacities, whether it be at work or in your hobbies with like writing music, or playing video games, or running, or swimming, or anything like that. But it's just so important to have those things where you're not just counting the clock down, and counting the clock down, and with nothing on the other end, then counting the clock down a little bit more, and that's that's the toughest thing. So I love that. That's what I have loved seeing Gravy's dedication, going to the gym daily, just putting in the work. And I think me going that one morning for maybe an hour, and just seeing what it was like, and and it was the first time in a long time I've been in that position where like, it's just for you. This is all for you. You guys decided to do this. There's nobody holding you accountable. Nobody would, you know what I'm saying? This is all you guys. Sure. And this is just, doing it for the love of the game, and for the end result, and just for, I I think this is awesome. How do you guys feel like has it impacted your relationship? Do you feel like you've become closer, or you're talking
I
more,
think
or
so.
you're
Oh, that's
yeah.
what's up. I felt like we were pretty
Yeah.
close leading up to it, but I think
For
it's
sure.
definitely something cool to bond over. Like shit, we're gonna go beat each
Yeah.
other up for an hour and a half, like on and off, you know, for like on Sundays. That's pretty.
And then sparring with the same dudes, yeah. There's
True,
just
true.
and there's just, man, I can't even put it into words that the people that you're bumping knuckles with, that there's just a connection there that's not like any other connection that you have. And
Totally.
I'll see a guy that I've sparred with, 15 years ago, and then when we recognize, there's just like a brotherhood there that yeah. And so then to get to do that with Gravy, it's been awesome.
It
Hell
has,
yeah.
man.
How whose idea was it for the fight? I don't
It was
even know
mine.
actually.
It was mine.
Oh, you're an idiot. Yeah,
No,
okay, so
well, at the end of the day, like I've been saying, man. So what happened was when my sister started getting in talks about the gym, about buying this gym, that kind of was like, oh damn, I could use that. Like, you know, like, well, that kind of makes you sound like a dick, but it is what it is. But then I remember whenever we were going, we were playing a lot of soccer. We had a family soccer team.
Yeah.
And there was a while where the family soccer team was like the way boxing is for me now, where every Sunday we were going and practicing hard. I was going out, I was playing soccer on like the family's outdoor team, where it's sort of a family's outdoor team. I was doing practices weekly. And literally anytime there was a fight, anything to do with fights, he would always say like, I just wish I could fight one more time. Like, oh, the wife would hate it, but I just want to fight one more time. So it was kind of one of those where it was like, I mean, it just felt like, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, like this.
Bringing the fam together.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, now it's like my brother-in-law's training me, which is badass. And then I'm, being streaming full time. That's a fast path to being a fat piece of shit. So this has been good for my physical. And then
ain't that the truth?
So it just was like, fuck it, let's do this. And it's like, who knows who we could get watching this? Who knows what type of like with all the streamers that are going to be watching, I think there's going to be a bunch of new people introduced to me, and I think I'd like to think you're excited about it. I'm excited about it. I'm nervous about it. I'm definitely nervous about it, but I'm still excited about it. And it's like, yeah, I just think.
Do you think that boxing and training has been like positive for just like your overall, overall mental health and physical health, obviously, and as well?
I always say how it's so weird. You wouldn't think getting punched in the face, a couple times a week would be good for your mental health, but it totally is. And there's something to be said about like the best feeling I ever have these last like 5 months is when somebody who's better than me, where I'm like, I think they say you're not supposed to feel like you win or lose sparring rounds, but when somebody beats you up for a couple weeks in a row and you're like, holy shit, I think I was, I won that round. That is a feeling that lasts for days. I'm sitting there thinking about it, and it's just been
I can tell you, like, for me, I'm just a much nicer person when I've been sparring. I just am. That anybody that works with me will tell you that I am just a nicer, more chill person when I've been sparring.
I'm not sure if that's the same for me. I would say once I started taking rounds off of people, every time I walk past somebody in Walmart, I'm like, yeah, I could take that motherfucker. Like that's he probably, I'd look away too, Buster. So maybe it's a little.
You're totally getting twisted what I'm saying. No, I'm nicer, but and it's funny because I used to, back when I was fighting, and then you'd have people all the time say, oh yeah, the fighters never want to fight. Dude, I always wanted to fight because A, I loved fighting, and B, it's like I don't train every fucking day so I can eat your shit, man. But but I was in a good mood. I was happy. And I was in a good mood, but
it does feel a little better when you are just confident in your abilities to kind of handle and anybody who might actually want to come at you, especially when you enjoy handling it. Especially you're like, yeah, let's get it going.
That's why
I work in construction. I literally kept two pair of MMA gloves in the truck.
That's beautiful.
I would just tell people, hey, we could, and then they'd be like, oh, I don't want to wear gloves. And I'd say, this is what the attorneys told me, that nobody has to keep the gloves on, but just better than any waiver. They put the gloves on, then that's a sign of intent for both of you. Then it's a training session. You don't need to worry about being sued. You don't need to worry about being prosecuted. You don't need to worry about anything. So, yeah. So all I ask is that you put them on.
I would be willing to bet that half the time he forgoes the explanation because the explanation would scare the shit out of whoever
right.
he was telling. He'd be like, just put him on and let's get it going. Because if he tells them, look, an attorney told me, they're going to be like, oh my God.
100%. No, I'd tell them. Because it's protecting both of us. That's what I'd tell them. It's protecting both of us. There's no liability here. We put the gloves on. We're good to go.
We're good to go, man. Yeah. That's a hell of a coworker.
I think throughout this whole thing, I've always thought to myself, man, I want somebody who can't, like, who's never boxed. I want them so badly, like somebody to show up and be like, hey, why don't you get some rounds in with gravy? Because I want to see what it feels like to fight somebody who doesn't know how to really fight, you know? Because like in the gym, we don't get to, it's like, what would I do if somebody who just quote unquote sees red and came at me? Like, how would I react? I'd like to think I'd fucking put it on them, but I don't know, you know? I don't know. I would love to feel it, though. I would love to feel it.
And it is so different then, because when people first show up at the gym and they're trying to do what they've been coached, and you lose a lot of ground instead of gaining a lot of ground, that you'll struggle a lot more than if you were just letting yourself go. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot different. That back in the day that we used to, I could usually pick out the guys that learned to box in prison. And it would definitely always give you work. That there was that you'd want it, because you wouldn't want to call them out, but usually they'd end up saying, like, yeah, they box pretty decent. Where'd you first start boxing? And I'd say it, no one, and then they'd get a sheepish look, in the joint or whatever. Yeah, I was gonna guess that.
So let's get it, brother.
Yeah. Oh,
hell 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love.
I tell you the one thing I've been thinking, though, talking about gravy gaming, and not fighting mad, that if I could choose an opponent, that way back when Gravy was a kid and he was such a phenom at Halo, and I don't know if anybody remembers Halo anymore, but he was such a phenom at Halo, and so and I played the shit out of Halo. I mean, we had 4 TVs set up in the basement that we had two surround sound setups, and we played all the fucking time, and I was terrible. Yes. I was terrible. I was so terrible. And but Gravy, we'd be in the group, and he'd have people they'd play with, and they'd be like, "Who is this fucking guy? That guy needs to kill himself. Don't ever play with this guy again." He'd be like, "Dudes, that's my dad. That's my dad." So if there was any way that we could set up one of those guys, any of those guys, I would love to put in some rounds with one of those guys. There's so few things that make me frustrated in the whole world. I just don't get frustrated, but Rocket League and any shooter games, just absolutely, yeah, I'm terrible. I could not be worse at those games, and it's not for. And I've put in time.
Yeah.
No, Rocket League will break your heart when you finally like play with somebody who, like, I just hopped in and a buddy was like, "Yeah, this is my friend," and we didn't touch the ball. He was on the ceiling the whole game. I was like, what is this, dude?
Yeah, that would be me.
It's unobtainable, dude. It's unobtainable, it seems. Oh, that's awesome, dude. I love that you guys bonded over Halo like that. And the music, the surround sound, like, I can only imagine, dude.
We had a crazy, he put the
a scene.
He drilled massive holes in the walls and had the TV inset. Like, it was a gaming setup in that basement. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Hell yes.
Yeah. And the first Halo wasn't even online. We'd have LAN parties that we'd have people come over, and we'd do.
Right.
That was one of the fun things about it, though, because I'd have guys at work that were super into it, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah," and I'd be like, "I bet you my kid can kick your ass," and they'd be like, "Oh, I've been doing it a long time." Oh, and I mean, he just wouldn't even try. He wouldn't even have to. It's just like for us, it's like we were playing on inverted, and we meant to be playing on orthodox or whatever. That that he was just
just dog walking. Yeah, dude.
Oh, everybody, yeah.
Well, that's
And
how
all
it
the
is now,
headshots.
dude. Gravy
still
is
like that, though.
dude. It's funny because Gravy actually hangs his hat now on the old man gamer.
Yes.
He is the old. He is Uncle. He is Uncle Gravy.
He's past his prime.
It's Uncle Gravy.
But I try and tell him, Dad. I try to tell him. I said, if I was 17, if I was 16 and this game was out, nobody could hold me, because I was really like that when I was younger. But I'm past my prime now. I'm past my prime.
Gaming's a young man's sport.
It is. It is.
Yeah, there was nobody that could touch him.
That's awesome.
I agree. I was like that, chat. I was
not, believe it or not. I do remember getting the N64 for Christmas. Ooh. We got GoldenEye, and we start playing, and I'm hitting every shot. And my dad's like, "Oh, it's so funny because it was almost like one of my proudest moments. It's ingrained in me. I hear him say, "Nice shooting, Tex," and we look, and the auto aim's on, and it's just auto from like head to head. And I'm like, what, 7, 8 years old? So I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm so good at this." It's our first day with the N64. Like, this is like my, first non like side scrolling type whatever. And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm so good." And they turned auto aim off, and I'm just all over the place. I was like, all right, never mind. This game sucks. Oh man.
Oh man, I remember the guilt as a parent when Gravy, because I was way before he was born. I was into video gaming, and that so I'm playing Space Jam on a PlayStation, and Gravy's got the other controller, but it's not plugged in. And so he's thinking that he's doing good, and then he just starts pulling the cord, and then holds the end up and looks at me, and it's like the first expression on his face was, "Dad, you're not going to believe this," and then all of a sudden "Oh, you're going to believe this, aren't you?" You're the dad. Where just being found out like that just felt like such a terrible dad.
That's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like the curtain gets pulled back. You're like, "Oh no, how could you betray me?"
Oh, to see that look come over his face, to go from being, "You're not going to believe this, Dad," to that look where it's like, "You're the architect of this whole thing, aren't you?" The guilt.
Oh man, I love that.
But he's made me pay. Yeah. He's a lot better than me now. Yeah.
And I was at a young age. Don't get it twisted.
Do you game at all now?
Not hardly at all. And more than anything, just because I'm terrible, that I just can't. And like I say, I'm so chill in so many ways, and being bad at gaming, that I cannot come to grips with that. It's a little bit like there was when I was in middle school, some of my friends got into golf. So then in high school, I was like, I'm going to take a summer and I'm going to fucking golf, and I'm going to get better at it and whatever. And every day I got fucking worse. And I, to this day, and that would have been 40 years ago, to this day, I still hate golf. That just with how frustrated I got. And that's the way the gaming got with me, because I wanted so bad. And like, it's not lack of effort. I don't know how many hours I put in Gravy at Halo, but man, it was a ton. It was a lot.
Well, it had to feel especially bad because you were comparing yourself to me. Like,
and to be fair though, because when we would game together, and then that would pump up my ranking, and I'd be like, I don't want that. I'm not a 9. I'm not a level 9.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you play, which was way low, but just people that were a lot better than me. So that's what little I play, and I don't play much anymore. But the ones that call to me are the ones where I can still convince myself that I'm doing okay. That whether it's a rock band or a racing game, something like that.
Oh hell yeah! We'll have to get some more gaming in soon, in some capacity. There's so many games out there, man. There's so much to do. I do
some like old school fighter games, like a Soul Calibur type of angle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
DOA, I like well, you guys probably are too young for DOA, but Dead or Alive, yeah, I like Dead or Alive.
Oh, come on. No, DOA was the shit.
Oh, yeah.
Matt, I don't mean to steal your interview, but I'd like to hear some of your favorite stories from your fights. I know you got a couple good ones.
Oh, yeah, let's hear them.
Well, my favorite one isn't even from one of my fights. That Well, it was not from my fight in particular. That used to be so. This was a fight. It was in Sugar Grove, and before the fight, the guy that's the announcer just does like a few-minute interview with everybody where he's just wanting to get something interesting that he could have for his for when he makes his announcements. So they line us up, and the guy right in front of me, he goes up when it's his turn. The guy's like, "Tell me something interesting about yourself," and he says, "Well, my parents are missionaries." The guy clearly thought he said mercenaries. So the guy says, "My parents are missionaries," and the guy's like, "Oh, no shit, how'd they meet?" And then the guy says they met on a mission. And the guy's like, "No shit, they met on a mission." And so then the guy's excited who's telling him, he's like, yeah, they met on a mission. Then the guy who's the announcer says, "Were they on the same side?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, they were on the same side." And then so then the announcer, I mean, he just couldn't have been more excited. He's like, "Well, where was it?" And he's like, "It was a mission in Africa." And the guy's like, "Holy fuck, they were on a mission in Africa." He's like, "Your mom was on a mission in Africa." And he's like, "Yeah, she was a missionary for years before she met my dad." And then as the guy gets done, and then it's my turn. I said, "Dude, I got to tell you," she said missionary. He didn't say mercenary. The guy was so pissed. He's like, "Why'd you tell me that?" That's not interesting. Oh my gosh, I love that. That was one where it's just the yeah.
Holy shit!
That's fucking great.
Everything just lined up perfectly.
Oh man, that's what I love. Because what was the guy thinking when you asked that question?
Like on a trip, like.
In
Africa?
Man.
You can imagine.
Yeah, they're on a mission in Africa. What could you
Same side?
Yeah,
Your mom was a mercenary? That's badass, man.
He was thinking it was like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
100%. That's what he was thinking.
Oh, I guarantee you that's what he was thinking. Yeah.
Oh man.
If I was kinder, I would have just let him
Holy
run
hell.
with it. Yeah, that was my favorite.
Could you imagine how confusing if you would have let him, and then while he's announcing the guy, he's just raffling that off, and then the fighter's like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
Exactly right.
Like,
I
what?
didn't hear a word I said. That's so good. All right, let's get to some chat questions. I know we should at least knock some of them.
Yep.
All right. So 6fish6 says, "Oh geez, there was a okay. What do you both think of your weak points are for this match?"
I'll go first. I'll say
doesn't have any.
My weak points, probably my cardio. Because it's funny. It's like, what are weak points? Is that what I'm worse than him at, or what I'm worst at?
I would say
think
matchup
both.
wise.
Matchup wise, I would say, I would say my cardio. I do feel comfortable fighting the slower, harder hitting people, I think. So that I think where my most success is going to be if we trade some nice jabs. I think I'll be able to jab you up a little bit. I think that's the strongest part of my game. I think my cardio is going to be shit, especially with this whole being on antibiotics leading up to the fight. I think the best chance I have is landing some nice clean jabs, and then I'm still pretty new to this. I still feel like I'm getting better every week, but I think we'll trade some nice jabs, and I think hopefully my cardio lasts a couple rounds before it gets real sloppy.
What do you think? What about you, Fighter Dad? I feel like maybe you don't have any weak points in this fight.
Well, I would say my new least weak point is him thinking that he's going to jab with me. I would say that's probably going to be my biggest advantage is if he tries to jab with me. That's
the only time I land shots is when we trade jabs.
I love that.
I love him, and
he's not here right now. You don't have to talk. He's in the room. Yeah.
There's a certain style that gives me trouble, gives me fits. It's not his style. if I were going to design somebody that would be the perfect matchup for me, it would not be a lot different than my son.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
So,
but I would, because okay, my biggest weakness, I guess, to answer the question, my biggest weakness is speed. That so if a little the people that give me the most trouble are the people that aren't even trying to hurt me, but just run around like a dragonfly. Just speeding, just trying to land some shots and zip around and not get hit clean. Those are the ones that give me trouble.
Yeah, because you said your jaw's your strong point, so you'll sit and trade.
1,000%.
You'll trade. You'll trade for sure. Yeah. That's what you're there for. You're there to trade. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Get to ask myself some questions. Get to ask my chin some questions, and I usually like the answer. So no.
All right, we're putting that on a shirt for the fight. I'm putting that on a shirt. I absolutely love that. That's amazing. Gravy, do you think you're gonna keep training after this?
I think this is my plan. Go in there, give it my all. My main goal for this fight is for people to think, even though I'm gonna get my ass kicked, think at least, hey, but Gravy's not a bitch. That's my plan. I plan on eating those shots, coming forward, and fucking, getting my ass kicked. But I think after this fight, I think I'm gonna just cut it down to Sundays only. And take a little bit of a break from it and just kind of do it a little bit more casually. And then, but I'm calling out all the streamers that average at least 100 viewers. And if one of them, I'm hoping that they get some confidence seeing me get my ass kicked. And then if one of them says they're ready, then fuck that. I won't take a break and I'll get back to it. But if it takes a while to find a new opponent, then I'm going to take a little breather.
And if they have a dad that wants to throw down, then we could do a double.
Right.
Oh man, streamer and son. We could do. Oh man, that could be a beautiful thing.
That could be. I'm guessing no streamers are gonna want it, and the only ones that would are probably like 250 pounds. I'm gonna have some stipulations. For one, I can't be the only one pulling in views this fight, the next fight after this one, and for two, you're gonna have to meet me at least under 180. So.
I'm out.
No, I got you. I'll go on your stream, Mustard.
Matt's coming with me, but I don't know if I can hit 280. You might have to meet me at like 210.
No, not happening.
At the end of the day, would you see this as a form of father-son bonding or just a match? That's from
we
Joshy.
kind of already answered that, right? Like it's been
it's
a
little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee that everybody that watches this will see this as a fight. I can promise you that the one thing that nobody needs to worry about is whether or not it's going to be a fight. It will definitely be a fight. It will be bonding for sure, but it will be a fight.
It's a fight.
There you go.
This one's from me. What's something you've learned in preparation for the fight? You've seen some improvement in some areas, fallen behind. I'm big on self-reflection, so I feel like that's always something. If you can learn something from like in any sort of preparation or like any sort of sport or anything like that, it's just it's good for you.
I agree. I think I've learned a bunch. I think I spent my fair share in a boxing gym, and I always thought I knew what I was doing, but really I was just cardio boxing. And that's one thing I learned through all this. I'm like, what? I wasn't boxing back then. I was just like not being fat. But now it's like, now I feel like I'm really boxing. And I feel like I've learned, what have I learned? Yeah, I don't even know. Some of it's hard to put into even words, I think I've learned a lot about myself. I think I've pushed myself past things that I thought I normally would do. Yeah, a lot of introspection I think has happened since I started training.
Hell yeah. What about you, Fighter Dad?
Well, I think one of the things that you learn a lot of times when that when you step up when you get ready for a fight, that another tough thing to learn if you just go and you're just sparring with sparring partners, that what you do is after you land a clean shot, that everybody backs off, and that so then you don't learn whether or not A, if you land that shot, how you're going to follow up on it, or B, if you take that shot, how you're going to react when you take it, because the guy's always backing off. And it is interesting because I've seen guys go into their first or second, third fight that don't have an answer for that. That you'd think with as much training, guy could do a ton of training and a ton of sparring, but if he never has anybody that follows up on an advantage, or if he's never followed up on an advantage, then they don't know how to fight. And then the first time they run into somebody, in fact, and not to blow my own horn at all, but one of the things that I used to always do is that every time the first 30 seconds of a fight, I would just put it on a guy, because I'd want to ask right away, do they know that, are they ready to be in a fight? Because some guys aren't. Some guys just love the idea of being a fighter, saying they're a fighter, telling people they're fighters, telling their girlfriends that they fight. And then they get in there and you've got 30 seconds where, because I've seen guys where I start like that and then they just wait for me to stop. It's like, dude, the ref's going to have to stop this. Stop it. So that's one of the things that you learn when you're first training. But for me, that having the thing to train for, that I just had forgotten how much I loved it. And how much I loved the fighting. That even though I thought I knew it, there's a difference between it. You know what it's a little bit like. If there's a song and you remember you really like that song, and then it comes on, and then it's a feeling and not just a memory. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
And that's what it is.
That's beautiful. Wow. So are you gonna keep? I'm assuming you're going to keep sparring. Are you going to keep sparring at the same pace you are right now, or are you probably going to step back a little bit as well after the fight?
That's a good question. I don't know.
We'll see how you feel.
I'm sure I'll keep sparring, but I've been doing other work too, and I'll keep running. But will I keep sparring with intent? Is the thing that. I don't know. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say that I'll keep training. I'll keep training hard.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. And part of it that at 54, we're thinking, don't know how much time I have left, that I might as well do it now. That there's gonna come a day where it'd be like, that's just gonna be even dumber than it is now. That
there's a point where it's too dumb.
Ill-advised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, ill-advised. There you go.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's true, man. That's true. Do what you love while you can.
That's exactly right.
Amen.
Hell yeah. All right. Next one, Hoodie Greg. He sent out 3. First one, I think that's definitely for Gravy. What message do you want to send to your chatters going into this fight?
Just that I'm not a bitch. That's it.
He's not a bitch. You heard it here first.
It's not that I can fight. It's not that. It's literally just that I'm not a bitch. That's the message. That's the message that I want to see. I want to get hit hard, and I want people to be like, damn, and then but it not have it not be over. That's truly that's my new goal right now. That's my goal. So maybe that's not the greatest goal to have. But that's mine. Fuck it.
Dude, no, dude. Cause I feel bad. I remember when I was back there and me, you and Vinny were talking about it, and I laughed and was like, he's gonna get smoked. And I could see it on your face that you were like, I know. But it didn't deter you. You were just driven despite the fact, dude. And honestly, that moment I was like, you know what? We might know it's true. All right, but we don't have to speak about it. I was like, we got a shot, and that's why I think you got a shot, dude, to take it the distance, and even if it, even if you
check yourself there.
Yeah, maybe he inherited the jaw. We don't know. Unfortunately, he's got that infected jaw, so that's not going to be the best. But
it is.
We'll have to get him something for the. We'll have to get you some Oragel.
Oh, we got a bunch of shit today. Like I said, that went there. The dentist, he gave me a whole plan. He gave me the whole plan. He said we're gonna get you to that fight.
and I look at it more like Gravy doing a marathon, that because it's when you run a marathon, it's not to win. You don't expect to win the race. You do it because running a marathon, you get to ask yourself those things. You get to just the experience that
exactly.
It's gonna be this is a no lose situation for him.
You're one of the only people in the world who think that.
Most people think it's a no-win situation because it's either he beats up his dad, in which case he's kind of an asshole because over this last hour you've kind of proven to the world that you're a pretty swell guy. Yeah. And if he loses, then he kind of just got his ass kicked by Uncle got his ass kicked by his dad, basically by granddad.
Well, what I told the guys at work is that I'm too young for anybody to call elder abuse, and he's too old for anybody to call DCFS. So we're covered either way.
Right in the sweet spot.
We're right in the sweet spot.
That's and you got the gloves on. Contract signed. Oh, yeah.
All right, next question. Brian, we kind of answered this one. It says, you've raised your son, and hopefully you know him really well. You think knowing him really well is going to be an advantage during the fight. I think you kind of said, yeah. And you're like,
Well, I don't think him knowing me as a person is going to help him that much, but I think him knowing me as a fighter sure will.
Fighter,
right?
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, let me build the perfect fighter. Certainly not Gravy.
Hey, that's what it is.
I mean, yeah. All right, so then Bean says, is Pops going for the KO?
Boy, I see, and this is where you don't want to be a dick. There ain't no way it goes the distance. There's just not. It's just not going to happen. And I'm sorry, and I love you, Gravy, for sure. What's that?
What round do you got?
Oh yeah, this question is, you gonna knock Gravy out in the first 30 seconds or first 45? That's from HD.
Well, it sounds like Gravy's corner knows that Dad's going to be putting it on in the first 30. If he's
and from what I've heard from Gravy is that he's trying to go the distance. He says, if I go the distance, that's a W in my book.
Hell, if I make it out of round 2, it's a W.
Absolutely.
If I could weather a storm, I'm feeling good. Truly.
Absolutely.
Well, you know his strat. You know he's gonna go hard that first 30 seconds, right?
Is that the strat?
That's what I used to do. I do not anticipate this, but it will not go the distance. It will not. That I might not start with a blitz, but it will not go the distance.
Let me just say this: if you were betting on it going the distance, it's probably the odds probably aren't in your favor.
Long odds.
But everybody loves an underdog story, though. I want to slide this in quick because I just thought of it. Do you guys are you going to have entrance? Are you going to have songs that are playing? Do you have?
I think we need to have songs.
Or even better, do you have one song or two songs that you would share with chat that maybe were like go-to, like training songs, or like, Dad, you said like when you're going running, there's like playlists you're looking forward, like even just like what those playlists are, or a couple songs off those, or just songs that get you guys going.
Man, my playlist, I listen to everything. I like the 80s hair metal. I am also not. I also get really pumped when Carly Rae Jepsen comes up on my playlist when I'm running. That I am. I run the gamut in the music.
Nice. You got a good shuffle going.
Is Pink Pony Club on there?
I don't know Pink Pony Club.
All right. All right. I respect it. I respect it.
Some chaperone.
Yeah, the Carly Rae Jepsen shout out though. That's good. What about you, Gravy?
I've been listening to a lot of Big X the Plug. A song, Brazy had a song on in the car that literally had me like wanting to fight somebody. So I might play that one. It was called Maintaining My Slot. I was like, I'm writing that down. That might be the walkout song.
Hell yeah.
So,
if I could dance, and I super can't dance, it would be a disco song for sure. I would love to disco to the ring. That would be that to me. Matter of fact, that's what I should have focused my training on. Shit, now I'm really regretting that. That would have been.
You got a couple
50% of
weeks
my
left.
training.
Fuck this fighting shit. You got 2 weeks to learn how to dance.
It's gonna take longer than that.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not even 2 weeks. Fuck me. But that's okay. But yeah, so I think it's probably some Big X the Plug, or maybe, I'm not exactly sure, but I'll have a song that puts me into fight mode.
Oh yeah. Are there a few more?
Yeah, there's the one from New Poner that says, when you're done whooping Gravy's ass, can you get Mustard Tiger King in there as well?
And I still have my mouth guard from
so you're
when
ready to go.
Yeah,
oh,
so
wow.
I'm ready to go, and I'm willing to take at least 15 seconds worth of abuse.
I'm thinking I might show up a day early.
Seconds.
And get some sparring in that day before.
That's what I said you should do, bro. I would like you to show up a day early, and everyone would be real gentle, just so you can feel what it feels like to.
Yeah, I got a pretty face, you know. I can't. It's the moneymaker.
You'll be fine, bro. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. One thing I've been telling people is that, you know, a lot of people are gonna see me get my ass kicked, but you know, all they have to do is come and sign a waiver on a Sunday, and I bet my dad here would love to show them what they want to see. So
everybody's welcome, and you know what? You can't lose if you don't lose the lesson. That's
right. That's right.
You can't lose if you're learning.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh man. Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm really gonna be testing that theory on that Saturday, but we will see.
Hell yeah, this one's from Junior Dunam. It says, do you think you could have won a fight with your own dad?
I can tell you that me and my dad didn't get along super great. But he was he wasn't a physical dad, but I was a little bit of a sarcastic asshole sometimes when I was a teenager. Surprisingly, yeah, and that there was one time at 17, and I don't remember what I said, but it triggered him, and he got right in my face and gave me a chest bump, and I said, Dad, you're about 2 years too late for that. And he stepped back, and he was fucking pissed, but that was the end of it, and he never did anything like that again. And he'd never done anything like that before. That it was just one of those where it was like, yeah, probably you should have done that a while ago if that was what you wanted to do. So yeah, do I feel like I could have? Yeah, for sure. I would say by 16 for sure he wouldn't have stood a chance.
There you go. I can absolutely not say the same.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I was toe to toe with my dad. We definitely had an up and down relationship, and I remember my brother just saying, he's like, if you swing, I'll go in, and I was just like, dude, if I swing, I'm gonna die. I was like, I will die, brother. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're kind of chesting up right now. We're using numbers to our advantage. I was like, we lost. We retreat and reassess.
So what he's saying is my grandpa was a pussy. Great.
Whoa, no.
Hopefully that skips two generations.
Well, it doesn't. Oh man.
One thing, if I just a quick story that I remembered, because I talk about how all the time how excited I got for a fight. There was one fight that I had that just had bad juju. So the guy that I was fighting for, Rocky Troutman, he called me. This other promoter had a big favor that he needed. He really needed to fill out his card. He needed another fighter, and it was fighting on a Team Z card. And I said, I'll go fight, but I won't fight a Team Z guy because they always fuck you on the decisions. That if they're putting on the show, you're out, and they're like, no. And Rocky said, nope, no problem. I dated Team Z guy. So all right, so it was short notice, and I go and I show up. show up to fight. So then when I get there and I ask who my guy is, and he's got the Team Z outfit on, and I said, it's off. I was told that wasn't gonna be a Team Z guy, and he's like, oh no, we just gave him our gear. He's not one of us. And that seemed pretty sketchy, and I wasn't sure. But the guy wasn't super intimidating, so I wasn't that worried about it. But it definitely where now I'm getting mad, and I usually don't get mad. I'm feeling like I was lied to. So then I'm watching the fight. That's the fight before mine, and this Team Z, they were a cheap ass group, and they had 4 pair of gloves. They had 2 pair of 12s and 2 pair of 10s, depending on what weight class you are. And the 12s would have been my weight class. The guys that were fighting before me were wearing the 12s. Well, the guys that were fighting before me, one of them got knocked the fuck out. Like I've never in person seen somebody knocked out. I mean, where his eyes were open and but his pupils were rolled back, and he's like looking over at me, except he can't see me because he's so unconscious. And the ref is slapping him, trying to wake him up, and the guy is not waking up. So then the Team Z guy comes over to me, the promoter, and he's like, where are your gloves? And I point at the ring. I'm like, he's still fucking got them on. So then he climbs up in the ring, and he's yanking the gloves off this guy who still isn't fucking conscious yet. That I mean, he's laying there. So then they do finally get the guy up, but I mean, it seemed like a long time where the guy, I mean, his eyes were rolled back in his head where I was like, I do not want him to die here. So then I put the gloves on, and they're soaking wet, and they just feel like death on my hand, where it's like now all of a sudden, because I mean, at this point I've got 2 kids. It's Saturday. I got to work on Monday. I'm like, man, I don't want. And I never think thoughts like that. But I'm thinking all those thoughts. I'm thinking, man, this is a bad deal. This is a bad fucking deal. So I've got these soaking wet gloves on my hand where it feels like death. Then I go. They call me up. I go into the ring. Then before they call the other fighter up, the whole arena start. I shouldn't call it arena. It was more like a high school gym. You hear Z Z Z Z. So now I'm like, I'm pretty sure that this guy is Team Z at this point. So then the guy comes in the ring. I'm still not that worried about him as a fighter. I'm more worried about that all of a sudden I'm thinking mortality thoughts, and I just never think that before a fight. I'm just thinking that I'm looking down where that guy had been laying in the ring and thinking all these things that I just never crossed my mind. So then bell rings, fight starts. I feel fairly comfortable. I eat a shot, and then the best way to describe it, and I've heard other fighters describe it better, that if you picture like a dark fog rolling in, except where you can see in the center, and then all of the peripheral vision is like a brown cloud. So you got like this brown cloud that envelops, and then all of a sudden I'm not seeing anything, not feeling anything, nothing. Taking the shot didn't even hurt. Not feeling anything. Then the cloud recedes, and now I can see the guy again, and I feel fucking fresh. So I go ahead and put it on the guy, feel good, feel 100%. Then bell rings. I go to my corner. My corner starts pulling off my gloves. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, that's it. It's over. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I thought it was still the first round. I literally just thought, and they're like, dude, fight's over. So then we go to the center of the ring for the decision. And not that it matters. They announce the decision's a draw, and then the commissioner says can't have a draw. It's got to go back to the judges. So then it goes back to the judges. Then they gave me the win. But where I literally don't remember the fight at all. I remember like the first 15 seconds and having to go out, and then I remember like the last 15 seconds. I have no idea anything that happened in between. That was
had the dead man's gloves and just. Hell yeah.
The dead man's gloves might have actually, that was dark magic, baby. You might have saved magic. You actually stole his
It was wild. Like I said, the biggest upset was that they gave me the decision, because I thought there's no fucking way. And then sure enough, it's Team Z, and I get the decision. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that was a
How many rounds was that?
3. It was 3 rounds.
3 rounds. And how many minutes?
I think there would have just been 2-minute rounds. It would have been 3 2-minute rounds. Yeah. And like I say, but to me, it was like a 30-second fight.
That is crazy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The gloves add so much to it.
That's the story.
Ripping him off the guy.
Yeah, and just
was
like
in
the
my
whole
head.
the like it's just ominous, everything leading up to the fight, and then the way you describe like this fog rolling in, it's almost like, yeah, it's a scene out of a movie. It truly is.
And the thing for me, because there's a lot of people that deal with anxiety before every fight, and I just never had that before. That I was just looking forward to it, and especially, I was in my 20s. It wasn't like I was going to end up in the K1 or anything. So it was fun. It was something that I did for fun. That was the first time where it's like this is real. This is real. Is this what it feels like? Is this what it feels like for a human being, for a normal person, before they get into a fight? Because this ain't any fun at all.
I'm wondering how I'm gonna feel. Oh, I'm already starting to get shaken up a bit about
We're getting you jacked up, man. We're gonna get you pumped up.
I think I'm gonna want to be left alone a lot that day.
Part of me, yeah, that's fair. Part of me was joking around about.
Yeah, I might not say a single word to you.
Yeah,
I think that might be like a lot of music and a lot of just being. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know, because my dad can attest to this. He whooped my ass harder than I'd ever been whooped for my first 4 bad ass whoopings was from him in the gym, and so
the gym. Make sure that gets through the
in the gym. Yeah,
I clipped
over these last 5 months. The first 5 bad ones were earlier we were talking about how usually if somebody stings you bad, they like to step back. Where it was like he'd pop me once and then be like bam, 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 and I'm like, oh shit! Like everyone else wouldn't give me that, but he was. So then I remember one time he told me where we were getting ready to spar, and I'm just pacing back and forth talking to myself, and he's like, "You look like you're pretty serious." It's like, "Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, yeah, I'm taking this pretty fucking serious. You've been kicking my ass." So it's like, that's just for some sparring rounds, So it's like, man, I'm excited to test myself at the end of the day.
There you go.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Are you guys gonna continue to play tennis when the weather turns?
I'm super into tennis, but
yeah, I hear you're
he's a demon.
Quite the tennis demon.
He's a tennis demon, no. Matt. I would love for you to play him in tennis.
Hell yeah!
Love for you to play him in tennis.
I am not good. I am not good at tennis.
Bullshit.
My main tennis partner is my wife, and I would say my record
cheats.
Against her.
Don't tell her I said that. But...
She does. Oh, she does cheat. But I'd say it's maybe I win 5 out of every 200 matches. I get 2 or 3 sets a year out of her, and that's it. But she is, and she's the nicest person that you'll ever meet in your whole life. But in tennis, she is just so competitive. She'll not a.
Which is funny because in soccer she isn't. I've never really gotten that, but supposedly in tennis she's just that. It's a really big deal.
Just not a nice person. Yeah, just not a nice person on the tennis court for sure.
Hell yeah.
Everyone needs a place to be like that, I think.
Well, and for those of you that play tennis, because I mean she'll smoke me. I mean she'll win 6-1, 6-1. That's not uncommon. But she could be up 5-0, up 40-love, and there's a ball that's close, and she's gonna say, yeah, that was in when it's her. And it's like, really, because I don't feel like that was in. But yeah, that regardless, that it doesn't matter what she's up by, that she will give herself the benefit of the doubt.
I love that.
Well, she's also right, so
yeah, that's true, Rusty. That's a very good point.
It's also, you have to think about it from her position, where it's like, yeah, I feel bad, but it was in.
Oh yeah.
What about where also she'll pick the side? That's one thing that I love that you told me. Where if the sun's beaten down on one side, she's gonna want that sun on her back, and she's not big into switching sides.
She does not switch sides. Yes.
I love it.
It's a league game.
I like being competitive. I always like being competitive sometimes. I think you need to find a place where you really want it. And plus, I bet you piss her off all the time, so that's just a good outlet for her.
See, it's real easy to do, because all you need to do is just say, like if she hits an air, just say, "Oh, babe, that's all right, unlucky," and then that's enough. That set her off. She doesn't need to hear it. She doesn't even need to see it. She doesn't need to want it. Not a lot of words. Hey, even just if I'm playing decent, even if she's winning, even if I just say, "Hey, what were you thinking for after the game?" and she'd be like, "Not a lot of chit chat, okay?" And I'm like, that. She's when she's dialed in, she's not. Yeah, that's okay.
That's great. It's like, don't talk to me. I'm in the zone.
Yeah,
I'm in the zone.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
that's the thing. Or if she's not, that's the thing. Where just her not being in the zone is just as much reason that she doesn't want you talking to her as that she's in the zone. No need for chit chat.
That's not why we're here.
No, I tell you how serious she takes it is that where we play, there's 4 courts, and if 2 courts down, there's somebody playing and they're wearing flip-flops. She'd be like, "Why are they wearing fucking flip-flops?" He's hitting the ball with his 6-year-old daughter. That's okay.
Those aren't regulation footwear. I don't know if he knows that.
Yeah. It's irritating it's distracting. It's whatever. We shouldn't have flip-flops on a tennis court, apparently. Maybe we should call the cops.
I love
Sounds
it.
like she just respects the sanctity of the sport.
That's true.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. I don't know why, but I want to ask, do you guys know what you're gonna? Do you have a go-to meal pre night, like maybe the night before? Are you carb loading, or like do you have like fast food? Or are you just like, are you a junk food guy, or like what's
I'm definitely not a junk food guy. That as a person, as a 50-year-old plumber, that I've kind of got guts of steel, and with the running and whatever, I really don't need to, whether it's carbo load or not carbo load, don't need to do anything. The one thing that I found is that bar burgers fuck me up. That if I do any kind of bar burger, that there's not going to be any decent physical activity the rest of the day. So that's the only thing. So when you ask about it, I can always tell you it won't be that.
Do you have a plan for that? Tony told me that he thinks I'm not going to be able to eat.
What time's the fight?
I think we're going to start the stream up there over at 7:30.
In the morning?
At night.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, I was going to shit myself. I was like, bro, yeah.
We got to see if we could get 1 or 2 undercard fights just to let the people get in before me and you fight.
I'll get in there, dude. I'm not
you versus Peaceling. What do you think?
And I say this, dude. I think I would be a good match for P, because I'll tell you that I will be holding back. I could see P getting angry and letting it go, but I'll match energy. I understand that concept. I would love. I also have like 100 pounds on P, so I don't know if that's like necessarily a fair fight.
Yeah, but he's got like 4 inches on you.
No, how tall is P?
Like 6'2", maybe 6'1".
Yeah, I think he's like 6'2".
Brother, I'm 6 foot, bro.
You are not 6 foot, Musty. I hate that I have to be the person to tell you that you're not 6
foot. Dude.
Actually
how tall are you? No, you want to know what?
You're taller than me, Musty?
No, I'm not.
I'm 5'11".
Okay, so I will say this: haven't been to the doctor in a decade. So I haven't measured.
Tape measure?
I mean, if I measure it myself, I'm probably 6'2", if we're being real. But
Gravy has the theory that nobody is 6 foot.
No, fuck, because that fits. Because the last time I actually got measured, 5'11 3/4.
Mustard. Yep. But how tall am I then? Why haven't I been saying I'm 6 foot?
You're 6'1". You're like 6 foot. I thought maybe you're like 6 foot and like a half. Like you're like, I think you're definitely a little taller than me.
And I'm not 6 foot, brother. So if we need to figure something out,
bro, I think you are. Are you for sure not? Or are you for sure not?
I am 6 foot.
For sure not 6 foot.
No, stop. Because if you went to the doctor and got measured by a professional,
we measured me fairly recently at Christmas, didn't we, Dad?
I don't.
Yeah.
And did you have one of the things that comes to the top of the head where it comes over, where it flips down and? Was it at the gym? Or was it
not at the gym.
You guys have that at home? You just have like a height?
I'm a plumber. I got a torpedo level.
Oh,
nice.
A 6 foot? What the fuck? Okay. All right. Well, that hurts my soul, but not that much because, guys, height doesn't matter
That's true.
that
That's true.
much.
That much.
For certain things, it does, like top shelf reaching and things like that. But the difference between 5'11" and 6 foot, it's whatever. I think on my license, let me look and see, bro.
Yeah, look and see, because you're lying.
Stop.
Musty.
No, stop. I'm telling you, when I got my license at 16, it said 6'2", 235. I said, put that on the
because
fucking.
they don't measure you.
I said, put that on the fucking pamphlet for fucking high school football. 16-year-old, 6'2", 235. I was like, I'm a fucking brick shit house. I changed it back. It does say 6 foot though. But what's my weight? Because that was for sure. I lied about that as well. There's no weight on your driver's license anymore?
No, there is.
Oh, you're kidding.
Sex, class, height, eyes, issue.
Damn.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's not
I got
on there.
weight on mine. I got an Illinois, and I got a real ID, and I got weight on mine.
Do
You
you?
need those.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't have it in Michigan.
I got weight as well.
I think Illinois does it. I think Illinois does it, but nowhere else.
Yeah, I want a full ass weigh in. I want to weigh in and then
Weigh in
we
and a
need,
stare
like,
down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Weigh in.
Get the whole
I wanted
thing.
to. I was thinking in my head of this, like this whole thing. Like, fuck, if we could have done this like in person at a fucking like a what are they, the made right whatever pop-up tables, the plastic pop-up tables.
Oh, there you
Just
go.
like, throw a couple tablecloths over it and get the press conference.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, and then I could see. I've seen Gravy game. I could see him trying to get in my head. That's big.
If I tried to get in your head, it'd be pity. That's the only way I'd go for your head. Seriously, that's where I would go. I'd go pity with it.
You don't want to, yeah.
I would try, like, if I caught the camera behind my back, I'm gonna try and give him code words for "let me hit you once or twice." He does it in the gym. Like, literally, the last time I was there, I was like, "Damn, that guy was kind of giving you good work," and he goes, "Pfft." He's like, I'm letting him hit me. He does it. He's like, he's terrible.
It makes people feel good.
He's like, he's got nothing for me. I'm just letting him hit me. I'm like, this motherfucker's he's swinging hard. And he's just letting him hit me.
I'm hearing that there is a difference between sparring dad and fighting dad, though. That I do.
Yeah, I would hope there's a difference in everybody.
I want to impress upon you. Yeah, I'm just.
Did you ever feel like it was gonna be a spar? Because I never did.
I'm so confident in you.
I thought I figure maybe. Honestly, the hearing that you're gonna blitz in the first 30 seconds, I was like, damn. I figured you'd let me fucking settle in for 30 seconds before you beat my ass. But I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I don't do the blitz anymore. But to be fair, I think most people that have done rounds with me will tell you that I spar harder than a lot of people fight, and that I fight way harder than I spar. But that's okay.
So we got that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he'd fuck everybody up in chat, and everybody who's gonna be watching, he'd fuck up. So just keep that in mind. And if you don't think so, come to
the disappointing thing, though. The disappointing thing is that when you see in video, I just look so fucking slow that I definitely. I mean, I train with fighters that fight, and I give them good rounds, and I don't know how I'm able to land on them. I am, but I don't know how. But yeah, it's people might be a little disappointed with the speed, but a little bit like George Foreman used to say, where he was like the post office, where it may take a little while for it to get there, but the message always gets through, and there might be some of that.
I love that.
Yeah, he's taller than me, Sadin. You're probably, you say you shrunk down to 6 foot, but he's probably 6'1".
That's horse shit, dude.
What?
Hold up, man. Am I 5'8"? Am I actually?
You're
5'8"?
definitely not 5'10".
You might be
What?
5'8".
Wow.
Yo, hold up.
Height doesn't matter.
No, you're right, but I think if I'm 5'8", then I'm wider than I am tall, and that matters.
No, you're 5. Maybe you're 5.
You shut your whore mouth. No, it's good, dude. Honestly, like I said, that's all vanity. I've put that behind me. It's more about girth than length. I've heard these
exactly
days.
Right.
So
exactly
it's a
right.
new age. It's a new age.
One thing though, just I don't know who we need to say this to, but if there is going to be prelims, we don't want somebody that's going to put on a better show than us.
No, that's what I was thinking too.
All right, so I'm disqualified.
No, that's why I was really hoping we could get like, because if it's like, oh, we have Gunner and Alex, it's like, dude, that'll look so badass.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. No, never mind. Yeah.
Honestly, if we could have some guys sandbagging, just real like slow people fighting slow, just like getting real tired after 30 seconds, and maybe even worse than they could be doing.
Yeah, dude, I'm willing to embarrass myself. I did this thing in high school. We did like a max reps day in gym, and this kid got up and did the pull-ups and did like 64. And everybody was just like, what the fuck? And so I just jumped up and like failed to do a single pull-up and dropped down. And it's like, all right, boys, we got the best and the worst. Let's figure out the rest now. So I'm no stranger to take and run for the team. But if nothing else happens, like I would be down to, if someone else is down, like Vinny or someone who's like trained can just like get some like light just like work in with me, people can see what it really looks like for someone who's like day 1 or day 2. You know what I mean?
That'd be cool. That's not a terrible idea. Just have somebody.
Yep.
Unless you're like scared that maybe I'm a natural. I don't know what you thought of me
Yeah,
last time.
there you go. You'll sleep somebody, then they're gonna raise the bar for us.
Yeah, I'm just like running pad work, and I just fucking like back roundhouse. Like, what the I'm like that. I'm really like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Bond, James Bond. But yeah.
Yeah, my mom was a mercenary. Yeah, exactly.
Dad too.
Hell yeah.
All right, boys. Well,
that's awesome.
This was fun.
Are we gonna get your coach in here for one of them or no?
I'd be down to fucking do a coach interview. I'll talk to him when he's going to be available. He's busy as shit, man. He's coaching. I mean, he's teaching classes all
front of the gym,
yeah? Yeah, exactly. But I can see what time he'd be available, even if it wouldn't be. Yeah, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him about it.
Yep.
All right, boys.
That'd be good.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I appreciate you doing this, Dad.
Yeah,
and I appreciate you, Matt Honcho and Mustard, and I'm excited to see you guys.
Yeah, it's just fun as shit, man.
Super pumped for this.
Right.
Appreciate you.
Catch you guys later.
All right, guys.
Have a nice night, everybody.
Guys, that's going to be the end of stream for me. My tooth's fucking killing me. I'm going to get off. I'm going to fucking exist. If you were listening, I hope that it made you smile. And I hope you guys have an understanding of what I've gotten myself into. A violent Saturday night. I enjoyed it. I felt like that was fun. That was good shit. As you could hear, he's bringing the violence. I think he plans... He was kind of, he refused to say what round he was going to finish me in, didn't he, though, chat? Just what round do you think I'm getting finished in, chat? 1, 2, or 3? I'm saying 2. I'm praying for 2. I'm thinking I get dropped in round 1, and I stand back up, and then he puts me away around 2. I don't think he's going to leave me unconscious, but I think I'm going to have a headache for 5 or 6 days. I'm going to try and fight him, though, chat, and I'm going to try and hurt him. I'm not a bitch, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows it.